In a small, peaceful town, there lived a boy named Gotham. He was an average student, neither too exceptional nor too lacking, but he dreamed of achieving great success. However, his biggest challenge was discipline. He struggled with procrastination, avoided small tasks, and found it difficult to maintain a consistent routine. Despite having big dreams, Gotham never took real action. He would make elaborate plans but always postponed them, telling himself, "I'll start tomorrow." Yet, that tomorrow never came. Gotham's parents and teachers repeatedly advised him on the importance of discipline, but their words had no real impact. He believed that success required grand gestures, and since achieving big changes seemed overwhelming, he didn't even try. Every day, he would sit at his desk, dreaming about a bright future but doing nothing to bring it closer. One afternoon, while wandering through the town's park, he saw an elderly man sitting on a wooden bench, observing the world around him with a calm and knowing expression. The man had a long, silver beard, and his eyes gleamed with wisdom. He seemed to notice Gotham's troubled thoughts and beckoned him over. Curious but hesitant, Gotham approached. "You seem lost in thought, young man," the old man said. "Tell me, what weighs on your mind?" At first, Gotham was reluctant to share, but something about the man's presence made him feel comfortable. He hesitated, then sighed and began speaking. "I have these big dreams," he admitted, "but every time I try to take action, I feel overwhelmed. It seems like there are so many steps between where I am now and where I want to be. I don't even know where to start." Mr. Anil nodded knowingly. "You're not alone, Gotham. Many people feel paralyzed by the idea of success because they believe they need to make huge leaps. But in reality, the most extraordinary achievements are built on small, consistent steps." Gotham furrowed his brows. "But small actions feel so insignificant. How can something so tiny lead to something so big?" The old man smiled. "Let me tell you a story. There was once a sculptor who wanted to carve a magnificent statue from a giant slab of marble. At first, he stared at the stone, unsure of where to begin. The task seemed impossible. But then, he picked up his chisel and made the first tiny strike. Day by day, he continued carving away small bits, shaping the details with patience. Months later, a breathtaking masterpiece emerged. If he had waited until he knew every step of the process before starting, he never would have begun at all. Gotham was silent for a moment, absorbing the story. Then he asked, "So you're saying I should just start, even if it's small?" "Exactly," Mr. Anil said. "The first step is always the hardest, but once you take it, the rest becomes easier. Small actions, repeated over time, create momentum." Gotham looked down at his hands, deep in thought. Maybe he had been looking at success the wrong way. Maybe, instead of trying to leap to the finish line, he needed to focus on the small steps that would get him there. The old man chuckled, his eyes filled with the wisdom of experience. "You remind me of many young people I have met over the years, Gotham. They are ambitious, intelligent, and filled with dreams, but they believe that success requires monumental efforts, something grand, something extraordinary. But the truth is quite the opposite. Greatness is not built overnight. It is forged through the consistent repetition of small, intentional actions." He leaned in slightly, lowering his voice as if sharing a secret. "Let me tell you about a young man I once knew. His name was Arjun. He was much like you, full of dreams but overwhelmed by the enormity of his aspirations. He wanted to be a great writer, but every time he sat down to write, he was paralyzed by the pressure of producing something perfect. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and he had written nothing. Gautam listened attentively, intrigued by the story. "What happened to Arjun?" he asked. Mr. Anil smiled. One day, he met a mentor who gave him a simple task: write just one sentence a day. At first, Arjun scoffed. "One sentence? That's too easy." But he followed the advice. One sentence turned into a paragraph into a page, and soon, he was writing daily without fear. Years later, he became a renowned author, and when people asked him for his secret, he always said, "I started with just one sentence a day." Gautam felt a spark of realization. So small actions, repeated consistently, can build something great? Exactly. Mr. Anil nodded. My name is Mr. Anil, and I have seen countless individuals transform their lives, not through grand gestures, but through small, deliberate daily habits. And I believe you, too, can do the same. Gautam was intrigued. Could small actions truly make a difference? That question would soon lead him on a journey of self-discovery that changed his life forever. Observing Gautam's struggles, Mr. Anil smiled and asked, "Do you know the secret to a successful life?" Gautam, curious, shook his head. He had always believed that success came from bold moves, from people who took massive risks and made grand gestures. The idea that small, seemingly insignificant actions could determine one's future felt counterintuitive. The professor continued, "Success is not the result of one big action but rather the accumulation of small daily habits. Think of it like drops of water filling a jar. Each drop seems tiny, but over time, the jar overflows. Let me tell you a story." He paused for a moment, letting Gautam absorb the thought before launching into his lesson. He recounted the tale of a farmer who planted a bamboo seed in his garden. The farmer watered it every day, ensuring it received the right amount of sunlight and nutrients. He waited patiently, believing in the process. But after a year, nothing happened. 2 years passed, and still, the soil showed no signs of life. The other plants in his garden had flourished. Flowers bloomed, and fruits ripened, but the bamboo seed remained buried in the earth, unmoved and seemingly dormant. Onlookers laughed at the farmer's persistence. "Why waste time on something that isn't growing?" they asked mockingly. "Move on to something else, something that shows immediate results." But the farmer, unfazed by their criticism, continued his daily routine. He woke up early each morning, carried his watering can to the same spot, and nourished the soil with unwavering dedication. His hands bore the marks of his labor, roughened by years of tending to what seemed like barren earth. The scorching summers, the relentless monsoons, and the freezing winters all tested his perseverance, but he remained steadfast. As the years passed, his neighbors grew increasingly skeptical. "Why waste so much effort on something that shows no sign of life?" they asked. "You could plant another crop, something that would bear fruit much sooner." The farmer only smiled. "Growth takes time," he would reply. "Not everything we nurture gives immediate results. But that doesn't mean it isn't growing where we can't see." There were moments of doubt, nights when exhaustion and self-questioning crept into his thoughts. Had he made a mistake? Had he invested years into something futile? The seed showed no indication that it was alive, but still, he watered it. Because faith, he believed, was not about seeing results immediately. It was about trusting in the process. Then, in the 5th year, something extraordinary happened. Almost overnight, a small green shoot emerged from the ground. And within just 6 weeks, the bamboo tree grew 80 feet tall. It wasn't magic or luck. All those years of patience had paid off. The bamboo tree had been growing all along, just not in the way that was visible. Beneath the soil, it had been developing an extensive root system strong enough to support its rapid growth once the time was right. The farmer smiled and said, "The bamboo was not idle for those years. It was strengthening its foundation to prepare for its ultimate growth. Without that foundation, it would not have been able to stand so tall and strong." Mr. Anil turned back to Gotham and said, "Success in life is just like that, Gotham. Small habits may seem useless in the beginning, but with time, they build the foundation for incredible achievements. What may look like stagnation is actually preparation. If you stay consistent and believe in the process, your growth will come in ways you never expected." Then, in the 5th year, something incredible happened. Within just 6 weeks, the bamboo tree grew 80 feet tall. The farmer smiled and said, "The bamboo wasn't idle for those years. It was developing a strong root system underground to support its future height." Mr. Anil explained, "Success in life works the same way. Small habits may seem insignificant at first, but over time, they lay the foundation for great achievements." Deep in thought, Gotham realized that he had been waiting for drastic transformations while neglecting the small habits that could have led him to success. He had spent years dreaming about success, imagining the final outcome, but had never focused on the daily steps required to get there. It struck him that perhaps he had been looking at it all wrong. Instead of seeking a magical, overnight change, he needed to trust in the slow, consistent efforts that would shape his future. He turned to Mr. Anil with a newfound determination in his eyes and asked eagerly, "What kind of small habits can I develop, sir? What are the actions I can take every day to ensure I build a strong foundation for success? I want to take control of my future, but I don't know where to start. I often feel overwhelmed, like I have too much to do and too little time. How can I make progress without feeling stuck in this endless cycle of hesitation and doubt?" Mr. Anil shared 7 life-changing habits. 1. Waking up early. If you wake up just an hour earlier every day, that gives you an extra 365 hours a year. Imagine the possibilities with that time. Oh, Gotham had never thought about time this way. He decided to wake up early and use that extra time for self-improvement. 2. Reading every day. Reading even 10 pages daily adds up to 12 books a year. Those books can change your mindset and expand your knowledge. Oh, Gotham, who loved stories, made a habit of reading self-improvement books every day. 3. Setting small goals. Instead of waiting for the perfect time, start small. Write 200 words daily, and in a year you'll have a full book. Small efforts compound into big results. Oh, Gotham started setting small daily goals rather than waiting for a grand opportunity. 4. Avoiding procrastination. Whenever you feel like postponing something, count 5-4-3-2-1 and just start. Oh, this simple trick helped Gotham take immediate action, significantly boosting his productivity. 5. Practicing gratitude. Each night, write down 3 things you are grateful for. This shifts your mindset from complaints to appreciation. At first, Gotham found it strange, but soon, he realized how much positivity and happiness this habit brought him. 6. Exercising daily. A 10-minute workout every day is better than waiting for the perfect day to start a fitness routine. Gotham adopted small but consistent exercises, which made him feel more energetic. 7. Limiting screen time. Before using your phone, ask yourself, is this helping me grow, or is it just a distraction? Gotham realized he was wasting too much time on social media. He started using that time for productive activities. Scientific research supports the power of small habits. According to behavioral psychology, habits form through a cycle of cue, routine, and reward. The cue triggers a behavior, the routine is the action itself, and the reward reinforces it, making the habit more likely to stick. This neurological loop is how habits, both good and bad, are formed. By strategically designing this cycle, people can replace detrimental habits with beneficial ones, thereby rewiring their brains for long-term success. Research in neuroscience also reveals that repeated actions strengthen neural pathways, making habits automatic over time. This process, called neuroplasticity, demonstrates that individuals have the power to reshape their behaviors at any stage of life by consistently engaging in small, positive actions. Even tiny adjustments, such as taking deep breaths when stressed or reading a single page daily, can snowball into powerful transformations over months and years. Moreover, the compound effect plays a significant role in long-term personal growth. Small, consistent improvements create an exponential impact over time. If someone improves by just 1% daily, that might seem negligible at first, but over the course of a year, those tiny increments accumulate. Mathematically, a 1% improvement per day leads to a 37 times increase in performance by the end of the year due to the power of compounding. Consider the example of financial investments. A small sum of money, when consistently invested and allowed to accumulate interest, grows exponentially. The same principle applies to personal development. Whether it's learning a new skill, building discipline, or improving fitness, steady progress compounds into extraordinary results. The key is consistency. Small efforts, repeated daily, turn into habits that define long-term success. Scientific research supports the power of small habits. According to behavioral psychology, habits form through a cycle of cue, routine, and reward. The cue triggers a behavior, the routine is the action itself, and the reward reinforces it, making the habit more likely to stick. This neurological loop is how habits, both good and bad, are formed. By strategically designing this cycle, people can replace detrimental habits with beneficial ones, thereby rewiring their brains for long-term success. Research in neuroscience also reveals that repeated actions strengthen neural pathways, making habits automatic over time. This process, called neuroplasticity, demonstrates that individuals have the power to reshape their behaviors at any stage of life by consistently engaging in small, positive actions. Even tiny adjustments, such as taking deep breaths when stressed or reading a single page daily, can snowball into powerful transformations over months and years. Moreover, the compound effect plays a significant role in long-term personal growth. Small, consistent improvements create an exponential impact over time. If someone improves by just 1% daily, that might seem negligible at first, but over the course of a year, those tiny increments accumulate. Mathematically, a 1% improvement per day leads to a 37 times increase in performance by the end of the year due to the power of compounding. Consider the example of financial investments. A small sum of money, when consistently invested and allowed to accumulate interest, grows exponentially. The same principle applies to personal development. Whether it's learning a new skill, building discipline, or improving fitness, steady progress compounds into extraordinary results. The key is consistency. Small efforts, repeated daily, turn into habits that define long-term success. Real-life examples, small habits, massive impact. To illustrate the power of these small habits, let's look at a few real-life stories. James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, he emphasizes how tiny habits compound into remarkable results over time. He once struggled with consistency but eventually built a framework of small habits that transformed his life. J.K. Rowling, before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon, she dedicated small amounts of time each day to writing despite facing hardships. Stephen Curry, one of the greatest basketball players, he wasn't born a superstar. He practiced dribbling and shooting for hours daily, turning small improvements into championship-level skills. These examples highlight that success isn't about sudden breakthroughs, but about the relentless application of small, positive actions. Over the next few months, Gotham diligently applied these small habits. Initially, the changes were almost invisible. There was no drastic transformation, no immediate breakthrough. However, he started noticing subtle shifts. He found it easier to wake up early without hitting the snooze button multiple times. His focus improved as he read a few pages every day, slowly expanding his knowledge and perspective. His grades, once inconsistent, became more stable as he set small, manageable study goals. Instead of leaving assignments until the last minute, he planned his study sessions in advance, breaking larger tasks into smaller, digestible steps. He no longer crammed the night before an exam but instead reviewed materials consistently, making learning a habit rather than a stressful event. More importantly, his confidence grew. He discovered that small victories, like completing a daily study session or finishing a chapter of a book, built momentum. Over time, these incremental achievements reinforced his belief in himself. He felt a sense of control over his actions, realizing that success wasn't about waiting for motivation but about creating a structure that set him up for progress. He also learned that failure was not a setback but a learning opportunity. Each mistake guided him toward improvement rather than discouraging him from trying. Socially, Gotham became more self-assured. He started engaging in conversations with greater ease, as his reading habit gave him new insights and knowledge to share. His discipline extended to his health as well. He exercised for just 10 minutes a day, but those minutes added up, and he started feeling more energetic and positive. These small habits, once insignificant, slowly built upon each other. The progress was gradual, almost imperceptible at first, but over time, Gotham began to realize the power of his daily actions. He no longer felt stuck, nor did he wait for a grand breakthrough. Instead, he embraced the idea that true transformation was a slow, steady process. Each morning, he woke up a little earlier than the day before, using that extra time to read, reflect, and set his intentions. His ability to focus sharpened, and he found himself more present in his studies, conversations, and daily tasks. He started feeling physically stronger from his brief daily workouts, and mentally sharper from his habit of reading and journaling. What once seemed like tiny, inconsequential habits were now fueling his growth in ways he hadn't imagined. The process of growth, Gotham realized, was not about making one big leap but about taking small, consistent steps every single day, steps that, when repeated over weeks, months, and years, would lead to something extraordinary. By the end of the year, Gotham had undergone a profound transformation. He was no longer the boy who hesitated or waited for the perfect opportunity to arrive. Instead, he took initiative, embracing the power of small, consistent actions that gradually shaped his mindset and future. His daily routines became second nature, waking up early, reading, exercising, and setting manageable goals, each reinforcing his discipline and self-belief. Years later, Gotham's perseverance and unwavering commitment to his habits paid off. He became a well-known entrepreneur, recognized for his dedication and structured approach to success. People often sought his advice, eager to know the secret behind his achievements. With a knowing smile, he would always say, "Small habits create big results. It's not about making one huge leap, but about taking steady, purposeful steps every single day." As he reflected on his journey, he realized that success was never about luck or talent alone. It was about cultivating the right habits, nurturing them with patience, and trusting in the process, just like the bamboo tree. Each small step he had taken, each moment of discipline, had compounded into something far greater than he had imagined. Looking back, he understood that his transformation was not a sudden event but a gradual evolution, a testament to the quiet power of persistence. He had built a life of success not through grand gestures but through the unshakable foundation of daily habits, each one reinforcing his growth, shaping his character, and setting the trajectory of his future. The realization filled him with a deep sense of fulfillment, proof that the greatest victories are won in the small, unseen moments of everyday life. If you want to change your life, don't wait for a perfect moment. Start with small habits today. Just like the bamboo tree, your efforts may not show immediate results, but with patience and consistency, you will grow beyond imagination. So, what small habit will you start today?